record, we can start.
Your recording has begun.
Welcome. Thank you for joining today's Parent Session 5, Beginning at the Beginning. The Dyslexia Initiative, a nonprofit organization, hosts our Zoom parent sessions on the science of reading. Ashley Roberts is a co-founder and is with us today. I'm Marvilene Hagopian, a retired curriculum specialist, a parent of a dyslexic son, and a grandmother. I live in Northern California. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so grateful you could be here today. Your participation in our live presentations is valuable for two reasons. First, you can make comments and ask questions during our wrap-up chats. And also, because your questions may be the same as people who will be watching the recorded sessions at another time. Basically, you represent all the other parents who, just like you, want to learn how to teach their children to read. Our panel of educators are former teachers, administrators, trainers, and consultants who are knowledgeable and understand the importance of teaching reading based on scientific research. Panel members, when I say your name, please respond so we can see who you are. Now, today we have Dr. Norma Baker. I'm not sure she's on right now.
She is.
Okay. Dr. Baker, can you say hello? I guess she's shy. Marilyn?
Hello.
I know Terry's having trouble getting in. She'll be in soon. And we also have Michelle.
Hi.
And Terry is with us.
Oh, and Terry.
Yes, hi.
Now, Ashley facilitates.
Hi, this is Dr. Baker. I'm sorry. I was having trouble trying to unmute. I'm sorry. I'm having some little challenges here tonight.
It's all good. We all have challenges. This is not an easy medium for us. Ladies, it's so nice to have you with us once again. Please, let's get to know our participants a little bit. You know, because we have participants who participate from different parts of the world, we really love learning where you live. So please, if you might, write your general location in the chat box. Then Ashley will acknowledge your locations. Ashley facilitates our meetings and monitors your comments. Ashley, could you please say hello? Are you?
Hi, everyone. So far we have Sarah from Virginia, Dylan, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, from Dallas, Tiffany from Missouri. Those are the only comments we've had so far.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. Sybil from Pennsylvania. And Nirmani from Sri Lanka.
Oh, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. As you know, the goal of every session is to help your children learn how to read. If this is your first experience with us, we highly recommend that when you have time, you watch our previously recorded sessions. Last week, we talked about letter knowledge, more specifically the idea children need to be able to easily and readily recognize the letters of our alphabet. Based upon what we are seeing online, many parents are expressing concerns about how their children write their letters. So, although printing is not a prerequisite for learning how to read, we will devote the first part of today's meeting to pre-writing. This skill has value because our current research shows printing stimulates the same areas of the brain used for reading. Today, we will explain what you can do to prepare your young children for emergent writing. We have a quick video that will explain how you can teach children to hold their pencils, and we will cover letter formation, printing in more detail after we return from our holiday break. Today, we will also begin our discussion on text awareness, more specifically concepts of print. We have 2 videos to share. We decided to begin our discussion on concepts of print before the holidays because one of the greatest gifts you can give your child is access to books. And of course, because the one-on-one time you spend with your child, reading aloud to him or her are moments your child will cherish forever. Now let's transition back to our slides. There it is. Let's begin our discussion about handwriting by looking at current research. Scientists studied children's brains using MRIs. They discovered handwriting stimulates brain circuits involved with memory, attention, motor skills, language, and reading in a way using a keyboard does not. It is a mistake to assume that now that we have computers, we don't need to teach children how to print. An Indiana University study compared the brain scans of preschoolers before and after they learned to write or type letters. At the beginning of the study, these children couldn't distinguish between a random shape and a letter. Their brains responded the same, whether it was a shape or a letter. Following this step, all children were taught how to recognize letters. Then they were divided into 2 groups. One group was taught how to print the letters. The other group, how to type letters. What the researchers found was really interesting. The regions of the brain used for reading lit up in the children who had been taught how to print the letters. In much the same way, the brains of literate adults light up. The group who was taught how to type a letter showed no significant change in their brain activity. A surprising result from the same study showed that even practicing a sloppy letter over and over, rather than just pecking a specific letter on a keyboard, helps children recognize that letter more readily. Multiple studies have demonstrated that preschoolers who practice handwriting read better in elementary school. Letter writing is the ability to trace or write a letter with a crayon, pen, or pencil in accordance with its shape and direction. Handwriting requires concentration and activates brain circuits responsible for coordination of vision, memory, and motor skills. Fine motor activities stimulate the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that helps with self-regulation. Removing handwriting from the curriculum is a serious mistake. When we start teaching letter formation, we're talking about printing, without children having adequate fine motor skills, bad habits can be created. You can help your child develop fine motor skills by providing playful activities that require young children to use the same large and small muscle movements we use for writing. Here's a list of things that help develop a child's fine motor skills. Now, you probably already used many of these suggested items or activities. So we'll start with a surface such as a table or easel for chalk, markers, magnets, and stickers. Painting is always fun. Beans to pick up and place in a container, chemical-free clay or Play-Doh, and tools to use, plastic knives, spoons, and toothpicks. Paper to tear and crumple. Tissue paper to roll into balls. How about using tongs to pick up items and put them in a container? Nuts and bolts, spray bottles, a piggy bank, and coins. Using eyedroppers, putting lids on containers, scissors, finger puppets, manipulating buttons, snaps, and zippers on clothing, attaching paper clips to cardstock, using clothespins to strengthen fingers, stringing beads, finding the way through paper mazes, using chopsticks, and finally, connecting dots with arrows to form letters. Just be sure the materials you use are safe and appropriate for your child's age. A very young child could choke on some of these smaller items. This list will be posted on the Dyslexia Initiative's website. Around the age of 2, children begin to make marks or scribbles on paper with crayons and pencils. As young children start to develop the fine motor skills needed for printing, you can gently guide them how to properly hold a crayon instead of grabbing it with their fists. You can show children how to hold a pencil using a tripod or 3-fingered grip. You can encourage your child by properly placing a pencil or crayon in your child's hand. If he or she reverts to a different grip, you can try one more time. Just remind your child how to hold his or her crayon each time your child starts to write. Patience is always the word you will hear from us. Your role in encouraging your child is crucial. Mastery is not what we're trying to accomplish. The tripod or pencil grip is used for writing. When showing your child how to hold a writing utensil, pay attention to which hand your child prefers to use. Children develop hand dominance over time. So just observe which hand your child prefers. So let's watch this 3-minute video on how you can teach your child how to properly hold a pencil. And I'm going to transition over to that video. Find the right one. Here it is. Let's watch it.
Today we want to show you the correct way for your little sprout to be holding their pencil. This is important so your child can manipulate the pencil easily, apply appropriate pressure when they're writing, and in general will make handwriting easier if they have a good pencil grip. It's definitely an important skill to reinforce and correct at home. First of all, for most students, the correct way to hold their pencil is using 3 fingers. They're going to use their middle finger and their pointer finger and their thumb to grip around the pencil. Their other 2 fingers should be tucked into the palm of their hand, and the pencil should be resting between their thumb and pointer finger on their hand. They should always be holding the pencil near the tip and not in the middle or at the end near the eraser so that they can have control over their pencil. There are some incorrect grips that we see that we would want you to correct if your child is using them. One would be holding the pencil with their whole fist. Another would be curling their fingers around the pencil. And another would be holding the pencil upside down, so it's actually in the palm of their hand. All of these would be times where you would want to correct their pencil grip and help them because they won't be able to manipulate their pencil correctly. They should be using this pencil grip anytime they're using any coloring or writing utensils. So whether it's a marker or crayon, anything they're writing with, they should have their pencil grip. Some students have a hard time picking up the pencil correctly. If that's the case, then you're going to put the pencil down on the table in front of them so it's pointing towards them, and have them make an A-OK sign. So their thumb and pointer finger touching and their 3 fingers in the air. They're going to use those 2 fingers to pick up their pencil, and you can help them put the pencil back in that resting spot. Then they can adjust their fingers and tuck these 2 fingers in, and they'll be ready to write. We really hope this video is helpful, and just remember, before any writing or coloring activities that you do at home, ask your little sprout to show you their pencil grip and help them correct it if needed.
Now we'll go back to our slides. So as your child develops control, making marks on paper, you can show her or him how to draw vertical and horizontal lines, slant lines in both directions, and curves. Now you're looking at the basic printing strokes we use to write in English and many other languages. You can help your young child draw these figures by gently holding your child's hand and drawing them together. First attempts can be made on large pieces of paper with your child making full arm strokes, big strokes. Children can also practice making the strokes in the air. You know, it takes time for fine motor skills to develop, but just like anything else, with practice, your child will be making the marks independently before you know it. There is a developmental progression most children follow when it comes to drawing lines and shapes. Lines are easier to draw than curves and circles. Slant lines and crossing lines are harder. What's most important about this slide, though, is directionality. To avoid bad habits, when your child draws these lines and shapes, remind your child to write from top to bottom, left to right, the same way we print letters. Straight lines, and slant lines always start at the top and go down. So, when is the optimal time to teach letter formation? Well, first, children need to be able to identify letters in order to form letters. Then, when you observe that your child is on her own trying to write letters, you may want to offer opportunities to trace, copy, and draw lines and shapes. Your child may then eventually want to print some letters. Using refrigerator magnets to show your child how to recognize his or her name is a fun first pre-writing step. Now, preschool teachers encourage their students to write their names on their artwork or even on sign-in sheets. When forming the letters of your child's name, remember to practice writing from top to bottom, left to right. The 3 cornerstones are the basics upon which future sessions are built. Letter formation supports letter recognition and letter naming. They are reciprocal skills. This means one skill supports the other. Even though printing is not a predictor of early reading success, it has its place. Let's move on to cornerstone number 3. concepts of print. Concepts of print falls under the umbrella of text awareness. Text or print awareness is an idea you can teach your children at a very young age. Let's watch this video about helping children become aware of print. So we'll transition over to that video. Here it is.
Where's the R?
2.5-year-old Mira couldn't be getting a better start for life as a reader.
Next to the I.
She can already name most of the letters of the alphabet.
And then finally A. Where's the A?
When it's time to become a reader, she'll have less to learn because of the head start her parents are giving her.
Yeah, good job. Give me 5. Good job.
Look, Mira, melons. M for melons and M for Mira. Look, we have melons in our list.
Mira's mother does what reading researchers recommend. She finds opportunities to point out print and how it's used.
Look, Mira, C for cucumber.
Mira is learning that signs are different from shopping lists,
Sweetie, peppers. Let's get some.
which are different from stories. Mira is also discovering that all of these kinds of writing are made up of words, which in turn are made up of letters.
C for cauliflower. M for mushrooms.
When Mira starts learning to read, she'll already know a lot about print,
Which mushroom
much
do you
more than she knows about self-control.
Some of this.
Mira is getting such a rich exposure to books in print, it's clear she can't wait to read on her own. In fact, like many children, Mira pretends to read.
Make a wee rocks.
Her play reading reveals that she already knows how books work. This knowledge comes from watching her parents read to her, and that's something they do every day. Every evening after dinner, Mira's parents switch off the phone and television for reading time. It's Mira's favorite part of the day.
Eat a good breakfast. And don't forget to wash the dishes, dear.
More is going on here than meets the eye. From her mother's moving finger, Mira learns that the print tells her mother what to say. She doesn't just make up a story based on the pictures. The details that Mira and her 2-month-old brother Vijay are picking up are certainly important. But the most vital lesson this evening may be the simplest. Reading is a pleasure.
Why is he going? I think it's with his brother, Mommy.
His mommy and daddy want him to go and get his little brother.
The single most important thing that a parent can do to help a child learn to read is to transmit a love of reading to their children. Let them see you reading as a parent. Let them see that you enjoy and love print. And I say this to parents, even if you're not a reader yourself, you can still communicate to your children that books matter.
Vijay can't yet follow the twists and turns of the plot, but he is paying attention to his mother's voice,
Try to stay out of trouble.
tuning his brain to the elementary speech sounds that make up English. He's already laying the foundations for becoming a reader.
And we'll be home soon.
Major funding for Reading Rockets comes from the United States Department of Education.
Okay. I love that little video. We go back to our slides. There we go. Okay, on the surface, concepts of print sounds like a simple idea. Show your children how to hold a book and turn the pages. Show them the front and back of the book and the words on the page. Tell them books are written by authors, illustrators, or the people who drew the pictures. There is a lot your child will learn when you read aloud, but there is much more she or he can learn if you deliberately point out concepts of print. When you teach concepts of print, you are building the third cornerstone, text awareness. So, for example, you can help your child realize print is used for different purposes. When at the grocery store, you might say, "Can you help me find these items on your shopping list?" Or when you pick up a book, you might say, "Let's read this book for fun," or "Let's read this book to learn about cars." You can weave concepts of print into your discussions as you introduce the book you are going to read. Now, in this next video, we will watch how a mother teaches concepts of print to her children. She makes it interesting, fun, and engaging as she teaches different elements of text awareness. So, one more video.
Let's read. Do you want to read this one? As children begin to read, they need to know how books work. They need to learn how to hold the book so it's right side up, where a book begins, and how to turn the pages.
Yes, I'm talking to you. Stand up. No, change my mind. Sit down.
They must also understand that the words on a page have meaning, and that in English, we start at the top of the page and read the words from left to right and from top to bottom.
Oh, okay. And where do I start reading? Do I start down here or do I start up here?
Up here.
Oh, okay.
As children get more experienced, they learn what a period or a question mark at the end of a sentence means. Teachers call these skills concepts about print.
See the snow?
Without understanding how words, sentences, and books work, children can have trouble learning to read and write. You can help your child learn about books. There are many fun games you can play with children to help them learn how books work. Here are just a few ideas.
The cat sees some flowers on the table.
Good job. So that's the first one. All right. Where do I start reading? Which side is the front and the back?
This is the front, this is the back.
Okay. Perfect.
The best way to help your child learn how books work is to read to him every day. Sit down next to your child or hold him on your lap. When you read, every so often, ask your child where the front of the book is.
Do you want to read this book?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which way does it go?
This way.
Oh, okay.
Turn to the first page and ask your child where you should start reading.
Right here?
Right here.
Oh, right here? Okay.
Point to the words as you read, showing him that you're reading across the page from left to right.
Little Bear said, Mother Bear.
When you get to the end of the line, ask where you should start reading next.
I want something to put on. What do I do now?
I'll turn the page.
Oh, okay.
Show him that you go down to the next line and point out the words as you read from left to right.
For my little bear. Here it is. Now where do I start? Right up here?
Help him learn that you are going from the top line to the bottom line.
It is a hat. Hooray! Now
Most important, have fun reading with your child.
Oh dear. I'll bet Jimmy was sad because he left his boa constrictor. Oh, not really. We left in such a hurry that one of the pigs didn't get off the bus, so now he's got a pet pig. Oh, what does it look like she's knitting?
A snake.
A snake sweater.
A bone trunk contractor.
Yeah, it looks like it.
For him.
Yeah, it looks like their new pet. The end.
Read some more books.
I enjoy reading the books that we get, the more recent books. I also enjoy the books that I enjoyed when I was a kid. And it's always been a really good family time that we spend together. Before bed, we always do at least 2 books for the kids, and everybody sits together on the couch and we read it together. And it's just kind of a good bonding time, I think. And the fact that they're picking up different things from it is really valuable as well.
Now we're going to stop there because we have more to share. We have the link for the full video on the website. So let's go back to our slides. Here it is. Children don't automatically understand how print works. We need to help them. We need to explain how print works explicitly and directly. On this and the next 3 slides is a list of the concepts of print you can teach your child. So let's go through them. Books have parts such as a front and back cover, spine, title page, and table of contents. Books are written by authors. Pictures are drawn by illustrators. Stories have a beginning, middle, and end. Make sure your child knows the meanings of these words because I've had students who didn't. You can also explain print is used for many different purposes, such as shopping lists and advertisements. We can help children understand books are read for fun, to learn about the world around us, and to spark one's imagination. We need to show them text is read from left to right, top to bottom. Children don't automatically figure out the relationship between speech, print, and words. We need to point out that speech is what we say, print represents the words we say, and printed words have spaces between them. Now, children need to know there is a difference between letters, words, and sentences. Letters represent sounds. Words convey meaning. Sentences express a complete thought. When reading, you can also show your child punctuation marks. You can tell them these marks signal the end of a sentence. So we have, of course, a period, an exclamation mark, and a question mark. Now, that's a pretty impressive list, and it's too long to memorize. So we created bookmarks you can download from the Dyslexia Initiative website. We have 2 different versions, one for color printers and the other for black and white printers. When you read to your child, you can use your bookmark to remember concepts of print. You don't need to cover the entire list. Just point out a few concepts every time you read aloud. So let's review what we talked about today. We covered pre-writing skills young children can learn, and we learned letter writing supports memory, attention, fine motor skills, language, and reading acquisition. The ability to develop text awareness does not emerge magically and unaided. Children learn how print works when they are ready to read to regularly, play with letters, and engage in word games. When they start to mimic reading, children are demonstrating they are beginning to understand concepts of print. So now we're nearing the end of the first part of our session. As always, we have our recommended list of links related to today's session posted on Ashley's webpage. Consider using the Concepts of Print bookmark to find out what your child knows about how print works. Then, if there are some things she or he still needs to learn, you can teach those ideas each time you read aloud. Well, this is our last meeting for 2020. We are taking a break for the holiday season. Our next session will be on Tuesday, January 12th, 2021. In that meeting, we will begin our discussion on how to develop background knowledge and vocabulary while reading to your children. Remember, sessions are being recorded so you can revisit today's meeting anytime. Please consider inviting friends and family to join us in future sessions. Together, we can help our children learn to read and possibly alleviate some of the difficulties they may be experiencing. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Let's move on to our wrap-up chat. This is your opportunity to ask questions, address any concerns you may have, make comments, or we can just take a few moments to get to know each other. So here we are. So good to have you back. So good to be back. Do we have any questions or comments today? Let's see.
There are no comments yet, but this is Ashley. I will always say that I do enjoy discussions about pencil grip because I know for me personally, when it came to my child, that was one of the things that they focused on was how amazing his pencil grip was. But his sequencing was backwards and remains backwards to this day, and he's almost 12 because of his dysgraphia, of course. And of course, his school was deeply entrenched in balanced literacy and didn't understand anything about the science of reading. But I found it entertaining throughout his entire kindergarten year how excited his teacher constantly was to tell me how well he held his pencil. Sorry, I always have to throw that in there.
I understand. Okay.
Congratulations to teaching so well, Ashley.
So
I will make a comment. The fact that you never start from the bottom and move upward, it's when you're printing, it's always top to bottom.
Right.
Is that so often parents aren't aware of, and I think that that's an important key in this lesson.
I think so too. Of course, we were always told he would grow out of that, just like we were told he would grow out of his reading issues as well. Um, we, of course, recognized that they were wrong about the reading issues, but we didn't, we were definitely far more ignorant about the handwriting portion,
Yeah.
the dysgraphia portion as a whole. So that's definitely something we've been working on. But I like it when people talk about not just how a child should hold the pencil, but the proper sequencing, because that is so important.
Well, and bad habits develop so easily and quickly. You have to, hopefully start at the beginning, and and we do trust the teachers when they're telling us that everything will be fine. They'll grow out of it.
Definitely. So you have had some questions come in.
Yes.
Nirmani said that the sessions were great, very informative, and she thanks you, Marvi, and your team. Gowrie said, how to teach the autistic child to hold a pencil.
And that is not an area of expertise. Do any of our experts have any experience with that?
No, however, the picking up the pencil and putting it as in the child, moving the pencil like in that video, I'm wondering if that might be a new idea.
Another is, I was wondering if this information could be found in Spanish. That comes from Griselda.
Well, Griselda, I've been trying to connect with some people who might be interested in doing sessions in Spanish. I'm happy to share our script, our slides, anything actually to anyone who is interested in doing these presentations in a different language, not just Spanish. So should you find someone, or should you be interested in doing these presentations, we're happy to share all of our work with you.
Awesome.
No charge, all free. That's what we're here. We're just here to help because
Definitely.
we need.
So Sarah asked, is it okay to teach reading before writing, or which do you recommend? My child is 4 and 2 months and interested in sounds and writing, but not sure she has her fine motor skills yet. Her older sister is dyslexic.
So
I would ask her, what does she mean by teaching reading?
Yes.
I'm not quite sure. Is that just, reading to her and maybe going over what the letters of the alphabet are, which, I'm not really sure what she's referring to. Maybe, Sarah, could you explain a little bit?
maybe you can unmute yourself and talk to us.
Am I on here? Oh, yeah. Hello?
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi. Yeah, so she, she knows all the letters. She can look at all, find all the letters, identify all the letters, uppercase and lowercase. So, then we do rhyming and things like that. And she knows, the first sound usually of a word. So she's trying to, put them together. And she adds in the schwas in there, which she shouldn't, but she wants to read. She pretends to read all the time. She really wants to read, and she wants to write, and she wants to copy things and spell things. She also likes to type things. But, she's really, really interested in it. My older daughter was interested in these things, too, probably at the same age, and I didn't teach her anything, and then went through the whole school, I feel like I missed my opportunity with my older daughter, and then thought things would be fine, and they weren't. So that's my concern. I didn't want to teach my older daughter to read because I didn't want to get on this, pressure of excelling in school. I didn't want to overdo it. So I thought, okay, well, she'll just learn when she's ready or whatever. But then this one is expressing so much interest.
Well,
Did you?
I would just say if she's expressing interest in learning to read, the best thing I think you could do is read a lot to her and, you know, go through those concepts of print. And in January, I think we're going to cover a little bit more about that and ask questions about what the story is about. I'm sure other people can offer additional suggestions, but I would just say, and keep encouraging her to want to read and praise her when she's mimicking reading. And if she wants to know what a word is, I would say go ahead and tell her what a word is. And then work on sounds.
Well, and you can also watch the rest of that video, the last
yeah.
the concepts of print video that we showed. There's about, I don't know, 13 more minutes or so. We just didn't want it to last too long, but it sounds like you're definitely ready. She's definitely ready to get more instruction about how print works. And I think it's great that you're teaching her the sounds, the letters. That's awesome. I think you if you watch the rest of that video, you're going to get a lot of ideas about what you can do right now. And then when we come back, we will be talking about vocabulary development, background knowledge, shoring that up. And it won't be that long before we'll start getting into phoneme awareness. And that's really her next step. She's already started on her own, and you've been doing rhyming and lots of wonderful things with her. So that's a good step. And then before you know it, we will get into phonics, but we're just not ready to do that yet. But there's lots you can do between now and then.
Did
And
I
I think you
understand the
I'm
question?
sorry.
Did I understand that part of the question was she wanted to write, but her fine motor wasn't ready, and did I understand that part of the question?
Yeah, I think her fine motor's not ready because she can't necessarily copy letters. She desperately wants to write. She asks me every day to write and like write her sentence so she can copy it. Like she really, really wants to write, but then she makes an A like with a circle on the top. She doesn't make it with straight lines at all. Not, you know, whether or not they're diagonal, but like she, you know, she's not like seeing them and copying them even right. Like only very few letters she can do right, you know. So I feel like, I don't know if it's fine motor or like the orthographic or what, but she doesn't seem like that's a good way because I'm going to get bad habits.
That list that was in the slide of helping with the motor skills, and I'm wondering if that might help also, and then just the direction of the lines, because trying to make the letters is so much more advanced. If that would help her develop some of those skills that I'm hearing you say she's not quite there with yet.
So we're talking about practicing writing lines, you know, top to bottom, horizontal lines, vertical lines, left to right, slant lines. You can practice.
Yeah, that slide with the lines looked really helpful, actually. Like I was thinking of doing that once I saw that. So I think, yeah, I think you're helping me. Like that's what my gut was saying. Like we don't want to necessarily be writing so many letters when I can see she's not doing it right. So those shapes and the lines looks like it would be a good idea.
Right, and she can do it as she's drawing pictures, right? Because you need a circle for the sun, and you can do diagonals for trees, and all different straight lines coming down for rain. I mean, you can make it really fun.
Okay, thank you.
You have a comment from, and I'm going to apologize in advance if I mispronounce anybody's name. You have a comment from Yair saying, thank you. I teach kindergarten and I'm bummed I didn't know about the previous sessions and I'm new here. They are all saved off. You can watch them on our YouTube channel or at the dyslexiainitiative.org. So we do encourage catching up on any of the prior sessions if you've not been able to see them. Sybil said, thank you so much. Could you explain the difference between dyslexia and dysgraphia?
Ashley,
Yeah.
we are not dysgraphia people.
Yes, I can. So in terms of like IDEA, which is the federal law, dyslexia is a specific learning disability in reading, whereas dysgraphia is a specific learning disability with written expression. So I saw a quote the other day that I thought was genius, which is reading is like breathing in, writing is like breathing out. They both must be taught explicitly. You can't, and you don't necessarily remediate written expression by remediating reading skills like rate, accuracy, fluency, and comprehension. You do still have to work on all things with written expression, which is not just handwriting, but that's grammar and syntax. So teaching a child the parts of speech is very important. Spelling is critical in both dyslexia and in dysgraphia. You need to teach them how to shape a sentence, the structure of a sentence. That's where grammar and syntax go hand in hand together, as well as how to form a paragraph. Once you teach all of those things, then to me, that's when you can move on to things like what's the difference between compare and contrast and argumentative and all of the various forms of writing. But I don't think you should get into the forms of writing unless you teach how specifically to write. There's a couple of different thoughts. William Van Cleve believes that you can teach parts of speech as standalone, whereas Judith Hochman and I'm drawing a blank. Judith Hochman and Natalie Wexler, that's it, with the writing revolution, believe quite profoundly that you can teach grammar and syntax while you teach the child how to write, that they can go hand in hand together instead of doing it as a standalone skill set. The point that I try to make with people is figure out what works best for your child, but written expression does absolutely have to be taught explicitly, just like reading.
Okay, there is a question here also in regards to left-handers.
Yep.
If your child is left-handed, are there any special considerations for writing?
For writing, not that I'm aware of. I mean,
No, I don't either.
Don't force a left-hander to be a right-hander. That's, one of them. If a child's left-handed, a child is left-handed. But as far as written expression, it's the same thing.
Okay.
And don't they hold their pencil the same way?
I believe they do, but everybody I've ever seen write left-handed, it's almost like they curve their hand around the top.
Yeah, I've seen that too. It's like, yeah. But
my brother-in-law is left-handed, so he always curved. He's the only left-handed member of my family, but he always curved his hand around like the top of the paper, almost like he was writing in a mirror image.
Yes.
yeah, I've seen that too a number of times. But I think they can be taught just to hold their pencil the same way and
I think so.
Move across the page the same way.
Yeah.
And the letters are formed the same way, top to bottom, left to right.
Right. There is a consideration with dysgraphia of where fine motor skills may come in. And so depending on the form of dysgraphia, a child may also need occupational therapy to help them develop their fine motor skills.
Looks like we have an autism specialist in our group today participating.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Could you please, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name.
Griselda.
Yeah.
Could you unmute?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Griselda.
Yes. I actually have a 28-year-old with autism. I was an early childhood teacher, PPCD teacher when I first started. I'm a principal now, but I stayed in special ed for a long time and became an autism specialist and had quite a bit of background. I went to different places to learn different techniques. I went to the University of North Carolina to teach. I went to California to learn ABA, and then I went down to Georgia to learn floor time. with I can't even think of his name. It's been years since I've been there, but yeah. So then I went to Austin and worked in Austin as a behavior specialist, and then I went into administration. So a lot of background in special ed. But when you're teaching children with autism, most of it's sensory many times. So to teach them writing, you just have to experiment with different pencils and texture. Sometimes it's not even the pencil grip; it might be the paper, what they have their hand against. So it's a lot of just experimenting at first to see what it is. And sometimes pencil weight is a factor. So you want to get different pencils and the weight of the pencil so they feel better about the way that they're doing. Found that things that are just a little bit heavier, especially as they're younger, like the fatter pencils, fatter crayons, are better. And as they get a little older and they understand a little bit more, than things like the gel pens and the markers and the flare pens are really something that they like, or at least through the many children I've worked with.
Any ideas on how to teach left from right?
No, I think I have had several that have been left to the right, but we try to use the same techniques. We don't really try to switch too much or try to teach them to be ambidextrous many times.
I think that to teach your left hand from your right hand, I think is the question.
I have to do the L.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I'm still one of those people that tell me which way to go, but don't tell me right and left. Tell me toward Target or toward the blue house.
So I'm not dyslexic, but I have to put my pointer finger and my thumb in an L shape, and I hold my two hands up in front of me. And the one that genuinely makes an L is my left.
Yeah,
it's funny.
I definitely have seen that.
Yes.
Worked on my children from the time they were littles. We just talked about it a lot. So, and I know them, and we play games left and right.
Nirmani said, I'm a speech pathologist. These sessions will be great for our parents.
Great.
Invite them.
Yes.
Griselda, thank you for leaving your email. Your background, early childhood, diagnostician, literary coach, autism behavior specialist. Currently, you're a principal with a dual language Title I school. It was report card rated under Texas under TEA as a D rated school. I'm in Texas too. Welcome to my world.
Okay, we have one interesting question. She says, sometimes children are very lazy to write and read. How can I make them interested in reading and writing?
Marilyn, you're muted.
Sorry. I would find out what they're interested in. That is how to get their interest. What do they like? You know, what do they like to do? You know, that's where you begin.
How old of a child are we talking about in this question?
Gowrie, are you still online? You are? Do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Oh, I was asking how old of a child.
Right, Gowrie's still on. She's the one that asked the question.
Oh.
So I was seeing if she could. I'm going to ask her to unmute. I'm not sure yet. She's not responded.
Because the age makes such a difference.
Yeah, it does.
Gowrie, can you hear us? 4 to 10 years old.
4 to 10. 4 or 10?
4 to 10.
So a group of children.
That's what it sounds like. I'm getting
Oh,
a teacher.
Yeah, must be.
I see. Well, the 4-year and all of it is just, even like in that video, the enjoyment and the excitement of making it.
There she is.
Oh,
Did, did, does she, do you have anything else to add? Oh, she's muted. Maybe you could unmute.
Gary, can you hear us?
There she is. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's quite an age range from 4 to 10. Oh, Gary, are you unmuted?
She is.
Maybe she has her volume turned way down.
Okay. The age range is interesting. My experience, well, first I should say, I'm a parent of a dyslexic son, and my son didn't learn to read until he was 13. Excuse me. And I'm talking about he couldn't read and he couldn't write, not even at the first grade level when he was 13. And when children are struggling learning to read, when it's hard for them, they don't want to read. They don't want to read. They don't want to write. It's too painful. It's too hard. They're being made fun of in school by their peers and teachers because of their struggles. So really, they don't want to go anything near reading or writing, and it's not because they're lazy. It's because it's painful and they struggle and it's really, really hard. And for those children, that's one of the reasons we're here, is because for those children, the majority of them are experiencing gaps in their education and what they know about reading. The gaps are not writing. So hearing the sounds, knowing the sounds, a lot of those children have to be brought back to the beginning to start over with. They've lost a lot of their self-confidence is pretty much blown too. So I would first start with those children, try to find out what they really know about reading, and taking them back. You can take them back to concepts of print, taking them back to seeing how well they write their letters. Now, if you watched our last session, I believe we were talking about letter knowledge, and we had a video about a little kindergartner who was learning his letters. It takes a lot of time and patience, but if you watch how his intervention teacher worked with him, I think you'll see that what was required of Reese and what's required of a lot of these children who appear to be lazy and not interested is that they just need a lot of encouragement, and you need to discover what their issues are and then work from there. What do you think, experts?
I'm
agree.
Yes. Building confidence and going back to the beginning.
Begin with what he or she can do and do well, and then guide them to the next step.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, read aloud to them, because by not reading, they're not building vocabulary. They're not learning how to comprehend. So in the meantime, find books that they would enjoy being read to, and do that, whether they're 4 or 5, even a 10-year-old. Very often they still love to be read to, but get a nice, young child's chapter book. There are all kinds of books that the young kids like to read, and if they can't read it, read to them so that they get that vocabulary exposure, and you can talk to them about what happened, use some comprehension questions so that they're actually listening and engaged in
Mhm.
what they're reading, because you can't just ignore the fact that because they don't want to read or they can't read, that they're missing out on vocabulary and comprehension skills and development.
That's right.
So that I would read to them.
And when you do read to them, that is that quality time that they can enjoy, and it doesn't become something that they really don't want to do, because they are enjoying quality time, along with what Terry and Marvy just said.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I'll add, my son is almost 12 and I still read to him. And
Good.
every time we're in a car together, we listen to audiobooks together. We, of course, because it's COVID, we've been listening to the same book for almost a year now. Because his rule is it can only be listened to while we're in the car. But Cliff Weitzman of Speechify says that his mother read to him until he was 18 years old, because it was something that they deeply enjoyed doing together. And it helped him with his schoolwork because she would read some of the required books to him. So she was a big driver in his being able to be successful in school.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you have one more question, and it's from Sarah, and I think this would go specifically to Marvy. How many more sessions are there for next year in 2021? No pressure.
I don't want to scare off my panel of experts, but my goal, hopefully we'll reach my goal, is I want to give you the full background on about that you need to know to teach your child how to learn to read. So I want to go through phonemic awareness. I want to teach you sounds and spellings. I want to show you with our panel how to blend words to read words. I mean, we're talking about decoding. Definitely want to go into spelling, because as you're decoding, should be also learning how to spell. There's so much. There's so much to talk about. Reading comprehension, writing and grammar. That's not my expertise. I'm not there, so I don't know if we'll find somebody who can talk about that. But just as much as our background and experience will let us share with you, just know that we try to keep the sessions short. So I don't know, lots and lots of lessons for the future. And we're trying to go, systematically, one step at a time. That's why we call these first sessions beginning at the beginning. We're starting at the beginning and slowly working up. Right, ladies?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That, I don't think we can put a number of sessions, but the sequence of starting at the beginning, the preschooler, and just moving right on through. Who knows how many sessions it take.
So Gowrie said, thanks so much to everyone for clearing up her doubts. Sarah said, thanks. She didn't need to know the exact number. She didn't realize it wasn't a very limited series, so she's excited to attend more.
Oh, good.
Good.
Look forward to seeing you, Sarah, and everybody else.
Yep. And that is it for the questions that we have.
Very good.
That was a nice session.
It was.
Thank you. Thank you, parents, for all your questions. We love this part. This is our favorite part, of the day, of the session. So
Great discussions.
it was.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
So thank you all, and everybody have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
A great holiday season.
Yes.
See you
Absolutely.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
Bye.